Hello, friends. Okay, I hope you guys can hear me okay. There's a little bit of construction happening outside our porch, but it's so cold inside my house that I wanted to come out here and warm up a little bit. Okay, I had the wildest weekend, and I wanted to share a little bit about the process that I'm going through, kind of handling a little bit of a growth gap. And I thought this would be really helpful to anybody else that is feeling like they're in a space of letting go of one season and stepping and wanting to step into another season. If you guys can't hear me okay, just give me a little, shoot me a little note or a comment so that I can adjust my location or adjust my sound. Okay, so if you're in a space where you're feeling constantly tired, anxious, at capacity, creatively like burnt out, and unable to really make forward progress, then this is for you. If you're in a space where you don't have clarity, you don't have confidence, you don't have security in your own ability, or security in even like your instinct or your gut, you're questioning, and you're just constantly feeling at a space where you're tired, I think that physical tiredness could be very easily fixed. Like our bodies are so amazing that we have to have rest at night. And really, it's not physical tiredness that we often makes us tired. It's usually emotional, mental tiredness that makes us feel so tired. So I think that when you are in a perpetual state of, I just really feel so tired, it's not because there's a physical issue happening or you're not getting enough sleep or what have you. You're not getting enough sleep probably because there's mental stuff happening, in the sense of there's emotional baggage, there's anxiety, there are feelings and mindsets that are deteriorating that are causing that tiredness. So last week or the week before, if you guys remember, I did a live on Girl, You're Not That Tired, and the whole idea behind really wanting to direct your focus on, you really aren't that tired, you're just bumping up against your limit, against your standard, and your tiredness is indicating to you that you need to change something. And that's what's happening to me. That's the space that I'm in. My tiredness is not a physical tiredness, because I get to sleep every single night. I get to rejuvenate and I get to reset in that way. But my tiredness is coming from not properly disengaging from the previous season and wanting to gung-ho into the next season of growth, and that's just not possible. So I want to encourage you, if you're in a space where you're feeling incapable to really step into your next level, into your next potential, into your next season, with energy, focus, and like rejuvenation, it probably is an indicator to you that you need to let go and process through the old season so that you have enough space cleared up to step forward. And really this is a process that we work through in coaching all the time. Like there are things that are holding you back and kind of creeping up that are sabotaging you in your current season. What are those? Let's work through those. But I think that it's really helpful to have a guideline for processing your things from even like starting a new week. I think it's beneficial to process through the old so that you can clear your plate and step into what God has in front of you with a fresh spirit, with a fresh mind, with even a fresh body. And this last weekend for me was very much just like unburdening and releasing even the stress from the last season. Although the last season of the move is over, like we're in our new home, we are almost done decorating our new home, we're settled in. I'm still carrying stress from that move because I haven't properly disengaged and kind of let go of it. I haven't let go. I haven't let go of that stress. And so I want to give you some guidelines for how to release the past. And it doesn't have to be like past from your childhood, guys. This is just things from before that are taking up space that are hindering you from moving forward. And there's something that I call a growth gap. There's this space where you're not really ready to walk forward, but you're definitely not where you used to be. So there's this gap in your growth that is a really beautiful space for you to refocus and Can you hear me? Refocus and refresh and remove old things. So here's part of the guidelines. 1, recognizing and giving yourself space and time to unburden. And that needs to happen physically. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Shauna. That needs to happen spiritually, but also physically. So give yourself an intentional, like, set time. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 1 day, maybe it's 1 hour. Because like I said, you can do this and use these guidelines if you are stepping into a big season, or even if you're just starting a new week. We have this mindset for starting new at the beginning of a new year all the time. And we all love that feeling of like, I get a blank slate. Well, guess what, sister? You can have a blank slate whenever you want to. You can literally have a blank slate in the middle of the day. But there has to be a guided way to clear your slate. So give yourself space and time physically. So if that is for the weekend, for me, I did not put pressure, and I intentionally put things in place where I could rest my body. And so for me, that meant going through a really weird, sorry, Becca and Kristen, but we went to this crazy Korean spa, and it was so bonkers and bananas because they had like different pools, different areas for men and women. Let me just tell you guys about this crazy spa. They had different areas for men and women, and then common rooms. They had these really beautiful like Himalayan salt rooms, and this charcoal room, and this ice cold room, and those were communal, but then the rest were separated. And the main services at this spa was a total body scrub, like not just like, oh, a salt, like, oh, I'm getting a scrub. It's like scrub down. Well, all the women in that area, you have to be totally nudie booty. Yeah. It was wild. It was such a stark representation of like letting go. I had to let go of all of my, like, all of the things. All of my clothing. I had to let go of all of my clothing. But I also had to let go of any sort of embarrassment or shame that I had towards my body. I just let it go and let my even preconceived notions of what the spa experience should be like. I just had to physically let go of a lot. And being with 2 really good girlfriends, but I've never done that before. So just even letting go of possible judgment or judgment towards them, I just had to let go and be there in the presence, totally vulnerable, booty naked, with all of my stretch marks and all of my cellulite and all of my like tan lines and all of the sagginess. I just was there. And the environment was definitely like very old Korean women were hanging out there. This was not a place where you're showing off like at the gym by any means, but it was there to just be totally vulnerable, but also like treat your body and do things that are intentionally healing for your body in a way that it was like totally out of my comfort zone. So going to this spa and kind of committing to this spa day with my girlfriends ahead of time was so God just like guiding me to pay attention to my growth gap. And so I go, and we're there for like 6-7 hours. We're there for a long time. And that's like before you get any of the treatment. So we're all hanging out in these different hot tubs, going from like different cold, hot tubs, the steam room, and just kind of like letting go, like sweating things out, but also like mentally just releasing fears and insecurities about yourself. And for me, I was in this place where I was like, okay, I want to let go. I want to emotionally. So this is where it comes together. Physically, I had to legit let go and just put myself in an extreme self-care position, and going to the spa was that for me. So I didn't have to show up anywhere. I didn't have to do any work physically. I didn't have to I went to a spa for 8 hours, and that was me physically seeking reprieve. But then mentally, I just also had to release any expectation and any sort of burden that I had been carrying from my past. And I just stopped trying so hard in my mind. I stopped trying to like carry the anxiety of the last season. I stopped trying to hurry into the next and figure out what does next week look like? What does business look like? What does family look like? What does it all look like in the future? And having to work so hard to mentally think ahead of the game, I just stopped. I just literally did not put any pressures on myself to be anywhere else. And I let go of expectations for several hours. Mentally, I didn't expect myself to think, to strategize, to be creative in any way. I just was. And so I think that's the first part of what you need to do. This guideline, this framework for being in the growth gap, for letting go of one season and stepping to the next, is let go of the expectations and unburden yourself from the things that do not serve you, have not been serving you, and are actually outdated. Like outdated, how many of us carry around outdated anxiety and stress? Like it's already been resolved, but we're still holding on to it. Like that issue is in the past. It doesn't matter. Who am I quitting? But we still are so used to holding on to it. We're used to holding on to that pain that it feels very scary to relinquish it because we know it and it's comfortable to us and it's, hold on, let me just block this person because I don't know what is happening. There we go. Okay. So that was for me letting go of all of the things that I was still carrying on. Just even the idea like, oh my gosh, this move was so stressful. And being like, changing our entire lives has been so much. Like, okay, yes, that is truth. And that is what happened in the past. But it no longer serves me to see myself as exhausted and to bear the burdens of moving because it has already happened. So what do you need to let go of? It's already happened, it's in your past, and it's literally no longer relevant, but you're still like clenched onto it. You're so used to having something occupy space in your life and in your body that it doesn't even occur to you maybe that you should let go. So for me, it was letting go of the expectations or even just the tiredness and the anxiety and the stress of that actual move. Like I was almost emotionally still in that because it didn't occur to me like I should stop feeling tired. Like we are settled into our new lives. There's no reason for me to really feel that same pace and that same energy. It's already occurred. And then when it comes to business, I still felt like this is kind of the opposite where I was still holding on to old successes that really weren't relevant anymore. So you're holding on to things that don't necessarily have to be negative, but you're holding on to them and it's taking up space, and that space could be used and should be used for something new. But instead you're holding on to your old wins because you may not know how to move forward for a new win. So if you hold on to the old win, then you're still winning. How many of you guys have experienced that? It's like, I still consider myself successful because of the success that I've had in the past. And if I let that go, although it's really no longer that relevant, then I don't have to. I'm kind of protected from having to push myself out of my comfort zone and out of my area of just like, I have to take a risk. I have to take a new risk for a new success, and I don't have to do that if I'm holding on to this old success. So removing that and saying like, that was a great win in the past, but it no longer is relevant. Your win is no longer relevant, and even your burden is no longer relevant, but it's still taking up space. So we wonder, why are we so tired? Why are we so maxed out? Why are we so overwhelmed? It's because we're holding on to all of this stuff that doesn't serve us and it's no longer relevant. So let it go. So for me, I am in a space where I'm 2 years into business, and I had this like, okay, it's successful. Like it's been successful this way. So I'm holding on to these models of doing coaching, and I'm holding on to these ideas that I have about my brand and my business. But they're not necessarily serving me and allowing me to move forward because they're occupying so much of my creativity, and I'm forcing myself to still be in them, to still even be in that framework and do business that way or pursue this idea when it's really no longer even in alignment, relevant to me and the new goal that I really want to pursue, but I just don't have any capacity for it. Of course I don't have capacity for it because I have all this other stuff that I'm holding on to. So let it go. So I decided I'm letting go of the ideas and successes that I had for Ginger, and I want to start fresh. Because here's the other thing, friends, is that when you go to God and you're like, God, I want to I want to align with your path for my life. I want to align with your will. Like, I want to do things according to your plan for my life. When we do that, God will absolutely give you open doors. But if you are so busy in the holding on to your plan, holding on to even the stuff that you've accomplished in the past, the things that you failed at, things that have stressed you out, you may think that you're going to him seeking guidance and seeking direction, but you're very much rooted with your hands and feet cemented into where you are, because you are literally maxed out. So you're going because I think it's the instinct for us, we want to be in relationship with God, and we want we want to align our goals to what God has for us, but we only kind of halfway do it. Because if we fully do it, we'd be like, I don't care what my preconceived notions are. I don't care what my past successes are. Today's a new day. What do you have? What do you have for me today, God? What are we going to do today? I don't care how tired I was yesterday. I am freshly re-energized for you. What are we going to do today? And I think that when you can go to God and align with his plans untethered from your past, and even unburdened from your success and failures from your past, you could really align and activate on the things that he has for you, go time, right? Are you feeling this? So if you're in a space where you feel like you've constantly been trying, God's not answering you, or you just can't even conceptualize doing anything more because you're so at your wit's end, or you're so maxed, or you're so confused, you're so cluttered up, it's because you're so burdened and bogged down by things that no longer serve you. So you're going to God in kind of a half-hearted attempt, but really with no capacity to take on his instruction. You're just doing it to do it because maybe you're scared and you don't want to do it on your own, or maybe you're guilty because you don't want to do things out of alignment, but you're not doing it fully prepared to step into what he has for you. You're doing it I'm going to kind of check this off, or I'm just used to saying these things in my mind in my prayer, so I'm going to do it. So I want to encourage you, let go of that shit that does no longer serve you, and of past failures and wins, because they are equally taking up space inside of you. Do not be that person that is postured up by things that she accomplished a year ago, 2 years ago, even last week. Part of growth is allowing yourself to pursue the goal, that whole in process to accomplishing the thing. That's the growth. It's not even necessarily when you get to the thing. So if you've gotten to the thing and you're still holding on and saying hey, I got to that thing, I did this thing 2 years ago, and I was able to do this thing last week, and yesterday was amazing because I did this. Well, what space do you have? What capacity do you have for today? What about what is next in front of you that you are so absolutely meant for, but you're too busy holding on to your stuff from last week? So that's my encouragement to you. Let go of the things that are really no longer serving you, good or bad. They don't all have to be negative. The negative things, I think, are probably hardest. I don't know. I think both are hard, actually, because it makes us feel good to relive in our successes. And so we want to cling to those, especially if we're in a season, which we probably are, where you don't feel like success is very near. You feel like you probably haven't been doing anything right for a while. And it's very hard to even, it just seems really distant and far away. So it feels good, and it kind of reaffirms us and builds us up a little bit to relive in our past wins. But it's keeping you from your potential wins. It's keeping you from the wins that God has for you today. Not next year, not next week, but today. So remove the living in your past glory, in the past wins, and then remove the things that are bringing about fear and doubt in you, because the things that have happened in your past, or the pain that has happened in your past, the failure, the mistakes, the risks that put you with your face on the ground, holding on to those is taking up space for you to really step into new opportunity in equal ways. So living with that, you're like carrying yesterday's fear over, and you're not starting with new, fresh, fertile ground or a blank slate. You're not starting with a fresh like sheet of paper. You're starting with like coffee stained, scribbled, like wet piece of paper from tears and sweat and all the things that we feel. You're starting with that every single day. So even when you're writing new things down, they're jumbled up in yesterday's to-dos and yesterday's fears and doubts and insecurities. So let me know if this doesn't make sense, or let me know if this resonates and you know exactly what it is that you have to relinquish. And I think that's key. For me, I had to relinquish the success, and I had to relinquish the pain. And it wasn't even, I mean, it was painful, but the pain of moving, and really living in that story that I've moved, and we've uprooted our entire family, and it's so exhausting. When in actuality, we're settled, and we have so many like beautiful advantages to moving here. And I get to wake up refreshed physically, but I choose to wake up refreshed or not refreshed mentally every morning, because I'm still living in a chaos that has already been resolved. So disengaging from that chaos and saying, this is our new settled life. How amazing is this new life? We had to work hard for it. We went through a painful season, and here we are. So now I have this capacity, and I'm seeing myself as I'm no longer in transition and in chaos and bogged down by like moving up boxes and unpacking and all of those things. That is no longer the situation. It's no longer the reality. Stop living in that chaos, and instead live in the current blessing and opportunity that you have. So let go of the idea that, or the tiredness or the story. And for me, I had to also let go of the lack of belief and fear that because things hadn't worked, I'm assuming that things will not work. So because I tried and I failed because things didn't work out in the way that I expected them to, those breakdowns of my belief I'm starting with. And that is not serving me, and that's not serving my business, my family, or the plan that God has for me. So remove those. Those are in the past, and failures are par for the course, and we all know that. And the more evidence of failure you have, the more evidence of wins you have, I guarantee you. So if you want more wins, you have to go after more failures. I know that, but it's very enticing to live in the residual of the failure. It's really enticing to live in the clutter and the disappointment and the lack of belief and the pain of failure. Remove that. Yesterday was a failure, cool. That's experience in my tool belt. What can I move forward on today with refreshed belief? So if you have the failure that you're dealing with and you're thinking, why would I take another risk? Because that blew up in my face, or that just didn't work out. What evidence do I have that this new thing is going to work out? Don't look for evidence. Just rebuild your belief. Give yourself an empty, clean slate of belief. Refertilize the belief in the environment that you are working and living in, so that it has fresh belief in yourself and in what you're doing. So when you do go to God and you say, all right, God, like, what is it that you have for me? You even have space to act on the things that He gives you, on the direction that He points you. You're not bogged down with the old stuff. So I hope that serves you. I don't want this to go on too long, but I just want to encourage you, if you're in a space of feeling just like maxed out and overburdened, and like you're very much in depletion, you're not in a space of thriving, you're in a space of kind of reacting and spiraling and reliving kind of the same thing every single day, but desperately wanting to get out of that and wanting to make forward momentum and wanting to do something new and wanting to trust yourself in the creative ideas that you have and see those come to fruition. So if you're in a space where there's just there's a gap between what you have experienced and where you really want to go. There's this like it could be a valley if you allow it to. So confront that gap and be intentional with how you process your past. Unburden yourself from the things that no longer serve you. Take those things off, process through them, let them go, give your body rest, and then give your mind rest and relinquish your hold on the crap that is no longer serving you and it's no longer serving your purpose. And it really is a decision to let that go. And it's even a decision to let go of your goals moving forward in order to optimize this middle ground, this growth gap. Let go of even the ideas that you have for your future, because it'll allow you to recalibrate in a better way so that when you do move forward into the future, when you do progress towards your goals, you do them with more confidence and space and capability and belief and action, so that you reach it way faster and you reach it with much more enjoyment along in the process and not in such a zigzag way. So release any expectation that you have for the future. Let go of the things from your past, from what has happened behind you. Let go of those. Take those things off of you. Take the wins off. Take the losses off. Allow yourself to sit in neutral, resting period for however long that is. And then really be intentional when you start taking things on. Make sure that they are things that you truly desire and that God has inspired you to do and has spoken for you to do. Make sure that they're in your alignment. Allow yourself that space to rest in the middle is so important, because you make clearer decisions and you do them with more belief and more faith in yourself and in your Creator. So I hope that serves you. I hope that helps you if you're in that space, so that you can, the very first thing, let yourself have space conscientiously. Maybe that's an hour today. Maybe that's the whole rest of the week. Maybe that's just one day, whatever it is, but allow yourself to have the space to rest and know and be wise enough to be able to decipher what needs to be taken off of you, and then allow yourself to have fresh inspiration for what direction you need to have moving forward. It doesn't happen if you rush through it, and if you are ignorant or ignorant is a harsh word, but if you are like too stubborn to allow yourself that time to really know what needs to be taken off of you, if you are too stubborn to even allow yourself rest, and if you're too stubborn to just grit through it, like grit and hustle are not always this. I think we glorify them. Hustle is not, it should not always be this like grind and hustle and like forcing of. If you're forcing yourself into momentum, if you're forcing yourself into your life and into your business, then you're doing so out of alignment, and you're doing so really unnecessarily. It shouldn't be that way. There should be hard work and there should be effort, absolutely, but it should be with confidence, with peace of mind, with clarity, with excitement, with joy. You should have joy in every single part of your journey. You really should. That doesn't discredit the hard work that goes into it, but that does mean that there's partnership with your Creator when you do it, and there's a humility for you, and there's a relinquishment for you to have with your Creator when you do it with that peace, with that joy. So if you're in a place of grit and grind and forcing, give yourself some space. If it's just 10 minutes, if it's just an hour, whatever it is, give yourself physical space and mental space, and remove the things that no longer serve you. You know what those are. Relinquish those. Let those go. I promise you, you'll be able to move forward with so much more expansiveness, breath. I believe breath is Holy Spirit. So when you can literally breathe more because anxiety is not choking the breath out of you, you can go out and do things with more confidence, more belief, more certainty, with more power, with more empowerment. So Thank you so much for taking time to hang out with me today. That's what's been going on. If you want a recommendation on a nudie spa and you're in San Diego, hit me up. It was super wild, but I strongly encourage doing something that is just so, puts you so far out of your comfort zone. It inspires other ways for you to really press against your comfort zone in great ways. So, and I think there's, so body affirming too, just to be around women that are like, this is my body. I have no shame. This is who I am. And this is how I have chosen to live. And thank goodness for this body, because it is a good one. It allows me to do amazing, beautiful things. So have a beautiful Monday. I hope that this has served you in some way. If you have more questions, or if you need help to really have awareness and just a path for you to step into what God has for you. If you need more guidance along your growth journey, do not hesitate to reach out and schedule a consult. Get in front of me. Let's have a real conversation, so that maybe all you need is a 30-minute consultation. Maybe that you just need a clarity call because things need to be affirmed and you can be on your way. Maybe you need more coaching. Whatever that is, do yourself the respect and the service of answering that need and the desire, and prepare yourself for real growth, for real whatever God has in store for you. All right. Bye, friends. Thanks so much for hanging out. Talk to you soon.